And we welcome you back again after this afternoon with the Tom Taylor Sports Show, show number 628. And here we are today, ready to go with my man's in the house. We are ready to go for the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. He's going to come back in a few minutes and talk to us, but he wanted to show what supremacy and perfection is all about. My man Andy Dietrich, look right there. There's the pumpkin pie. He won last week, going 10 for 10, and your fellow employees are elated that you won.
Not really. Pie was sitting over here, and Tim came over here and got it. And I was on my phone, and he reaches around me and plops it, and I had pumpkin pie went up my nose just a minute ago.
He said, "You better get your camera," and I said, "What's happening?" He's going to put it in his face. He went around and got it right up to here. I really thought he was going to do it, but he pulled back.
It smells good, though.
It does.
Food City
pie. Food City pie. Perfection. Put that up there one more time. This is what happens when you go 10 for 10. Look right there, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Last week, 10 for 10.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks in a row you've won.
2 weeks in a row. That's probably part of the problem, too.
Yeah. There's lots of problems.
Almost like should lose this next week to still be able to work next to him up here.
You better just go over 10.
Maybe lose them all.
Yeah. Now, what's the prize next week? You get to call the prize. You picked M&Ms. You picked pumpkin pie, winner pick. So what would you like to have next week?
Ooh, that's a hard one. How about chocolate chip cookies?
Chocolate chip cookies. There we go. So you're about to go back and
I'm gonna go cut it
everybody
and have a piece of Champion Perfection pie.
Tim gets the first
He
slice.
won't eat it, but I'll try to give it to him.
You don't think
it may go up his nose, that slice.
You don't think he'll eat it?
No.
Really?
He's on a diet.
Oh yeah.
He's trying to watch his girlish figure.
I don't think. There you go. I don't think that's the total reason why he may not eat it. It's intense. He doesn't like losing.
It's intense. He's in a bad mood today because of it. He just needs to get over it. I beat the snot out of him. Time to move on.
Take it like a man.
Yeah.
Beat down was on.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row.
I've been beat down too.
Yeah. You know, they've given you
But it's been a long time.
Yeah. Ooh, at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They've given you more grief around here because
I know.
they can't believe you won this.
They give me grief if I win or lose it. I'm up a creek anyway, either way.
There you go. You're just a grief guy. You come back in a little while talking about
I'll be back.
pricing.
I'm going to go cut this thing, and I'll bring you a slice.
Yes.
You got to have a piece of perfection pie, too.
Well, I would love to have one, but I think out of fairness, you need to let him have that first piece.
Well,
So,
I'll bring you his
there.
piece when he doesn't eat it. Okay, I'm going to go slice it. I can't see it anymore.
There you go. There's my man, Andy Dietrich, gone. He's going to go slice his 10 for 10 perfection pie. He wants to offer his first piece to Mr. Copenhaver, so we'll see how that goes. We're here live again, Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. We have a lot of fun. That's the bottom line. That's the name of the game. And so out goes Andy, and in comes my buddy, as you can see, the co-host of the show, the one, the only, Mr. Dave Angie. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Fantastic. You know, back in the break room there, they had a little Debbie for us. It said 8 for 10. Because we went 8 for 10 last week, and I was going to share it with you, but they make those smaller than they used to. So.
Yeah, we got an 8 for 10 Little Debbie snack cake, and Andy went 10 for 10, got himself a pumpkin pie. So there you go. It's all good. Goodness, we got lots going on. We're going to have Joe Avento join us here in just a few minutes with the East Tennessee State VMI preview. A much-needed win for the Buccaneer program. They'll host a team that's yet to win in 2017. Although that's kind of misleading because last year, on paper, the Bucs were the better team, went up to Lexington and got hammered.
Yeah, definitely so. That game was kind of what you call an anomaly, and it was kind of during a stretch of the season where, ETSU was having some struggles, and it just kind of carried over against a football team that I think they were better than VMI, but for whatever reason they went out on the road, and we talk about it all the time, in football. If you go on the road and you're flat, there's very little to pick you up. You don't have the crowd there to, on your side or anything, and they just had one of those days, and I expect them, and Joe will tell you all about it. I've been kind of reading this week about Coach Torbush has reminded his players every day, every practice, what happened last year and what the score was, and they're well aware of that. So, in front of a home crowd in their new home stadium, I think you're going to see a different ETSU team, and it'll be fun to get Joe's take on that.
Joe, give us a take about that coming up in just a few minutes, bottom of the hour. Again, my man Dave will be talking to Doug Fritz with all the high school football playoff games involving the teams here in Northeast Tennessee. Pretty much 4 games per class, so that's a very in-depth conversation between Dave and Doug Fritz from the Johnson City Press. Also later in the show, Chris McCall. He is jacked up and ready to go. He's one of the finance managers here at Champion Chevrolet. He's ready to come down and talk about his Hokie High. One of the games of the week, maybe the game of the year for the Hokies, playing down in Miami on Saturday evening on national television. So he'll preview that for us. Kevin Harmon will be along to preview the Tennessee Southern Miss game. It's homecoming on Saturday night at 7:30 at Neyland Stadium, and the problems continue for Tennessee football.
Yeah, it's homecoming, but who's coming home? That's the thing there, because there's kind of a big online campaign to empty Neyland to show their displeasure toward Coach Jones, and I hope that's something that doesn't come to fruition. I think we talked about it today during your show earlier. I think both sides know they're splitting at the end of the season, Coach Jones and the administration. I think it's beyond the fans having to show Butch Jones how they feel at this point. All you're doing is you're robbing yourself a chance. If you're an alumni of that school, you're robbing yourself a chance to come back and kind of visit with your old classmates and get in the stadium again. And you're also taken away from the kids that are out there playing, no fault of their own. I mean, they're whatever you think of the coach, those kids are out there playing football, doing the best they can to try to turn around before the end of the season, especially the seniors. So I'm hoping that doesn't come to fruition this weekend.
New hours for the new show. New hours for the same show, 5 to 7 every week now, because the showroom closes at 7 now for the winter months. Of course, Saturday, it's daylight savings time. We'll move everything back an hour. So as a result, we're now doing our show from 5 to 7 instead of 6 to 8. So we're here every Thursday from 5 to 7. Like us and share us, please. We'd appreciate that very much. And hello to Renee McNeil. I want to say hello to you. And David Strickland, been watching the show. Hello to you. And also, give a shout out to Steve McCauley and Chip Pratt up in Cincinnati, Ohio. Hello to you. And Steve McCauley from here locally with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Those are some of the folks who told me they watch on a regular basis, either now live or go back later on and watch it. And you can do that, and you've told me that some of the folks you've talked to, and research has been showing us that a lot of folks do go back and watch this because it's archived either later tonight or tomorrow or even tomorrow afternoon or whenever.
Research shows us that some of you are watching this Friday at work, and we're not going to rat you out.
No.
I don't want to, we want to thank you. We're not going to tell your bosses. I mean, we see the research that there's people watching it during the day Friday, which is a great time to do it, if you have a little bit of spare time, because it's still before all the Friday night high school games and still before the games on Saturday. So, definitely like us, share us, check it out. A lot of good information and a lot of time between when this thing goes off the air and when they kick it off tomorrow night to be able to watch the show.
Absolutely. And also, Dave and I will go back and we'll recap, or he will actually, Region 1 6A, the Big East Conference. Got 4 teams involved: Dobbins, Bennett, Science Hill, Bearden, and the Farragut Admirals. In fact, Farragut plays tonight. Their game is this evening. So we'll kind of showcase that game out of the, he will out of Region 1 6A out of the Big East Conference. So that's what's coming up. So we got Joe Vento of East Tennessee State, Doug Fritz in high school, Chris McCall of Virginia Tech, Kevin Harmon with Tennessee, Dave Onge with the Big East Conference, and Andy Dietrich come back and just talk about the employee pricing on Select 2017's brand new month and a brand new opportunity to save again at the number 1 Chevy dealer in the state, Champion Chevrolet, from Mountain City to Memphis. Nobody sells more Chevys. In fact, we were here for the show earlier today. Look here.
Oh, we got some pie.
Oh, got some pie.
Thank you, sir.
You're wearing it out. Did Mr. Copenhaver enjoy his piece? It's called a pride diet. There you go.
I'm on a diet of victory. This right here, 10 for 10, man.
Oh yeah, I'm going to eat it.
You can't beat perfection.
I'm all about it. In fact, I'm not even going to wait before we go to the break.
This will probably help our
Let's
picks
go ahead
here.
right here.
Let's got to get a fork full.
You ready? You want to do cheers? Kind of there you go.
There we go.
10 for 10, perfection. That's a good pie from the deli at Food City, by the way.
Boy, oh boy.
Man, good.
It's good stuff. It's fall now, isn't it?
Oh, baby. Yep. All it needs is a glass of milk.
Yep.
Mr. Dietrich, let's do this one more time in his honor. Watch this right here in honor of Andy Dietrich. Here we go. Cheers. There you go. Perfection. That's a 10 for 10. That's a good pie, too. All needs a big old glass of milk. It's cold. Make my teeth hurt. That'd be good. Probably for your benefit, we don't have a lot of whipped cream because I think you'd be wearing it. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're going to jump in and we're going to talk to Joe Vento about the Buccaneers and the VMI Cadets. As Dave Onge said and said it well, this could be what they call a trap game because the Buccaneers on paper are the heavy favorite. But last year they went into Lexington, Virginia, and got hammered 37-7. So we'll talk to Joe Vento coming up next here. Our first guest on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. We are live from inside the studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet on the Bristol Highway Motor Mile in Johnson City. At American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the 8 areas of your vehicle that takes constant continuing education is the air conditioner on your vehicle.
Well, you would think that AC would be a simple one, but it's getting to be a lot bigger than just AC. It's the management of the system, not just AC, but heat and everything. It's a lot more computer controlled than it used to be. It used to be just a little button on the dash that you pushed. Now there's all kinds of electronics involved in that. Braking systems used to be fairly simple. Now some of the newer vehicles, you have to have a computer to actually operate the braking system to make sure that it's okay after you've worked on it. Computer controlled of the engine is becoming very important. There's a lot to that. Each one of these areas, the technology is just tripled and quadrupled in the last few years. It's hard to keep up. You really need to stay in the books and know what's going on with them.
American Import Auto Repair, Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111. Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's Friday night at 7 o'clock. You've been involved in a car accident. You may be out of state on vacation or just a few miles from home. What do you do? Who do you call? At Farmers Insurance Group, one call is all you have to make. Hello, this is Jim Klein, an agent with Farmers Insurance. It's called One and Done. You don't have to wait till Monday morning to file a claim. You can make the initial call and we'll begin right away to help you. We assist you in moving the vehicle to a certified repair shop, getting you set up with rental car, and informing your agent. Then here the staff at Jim Klein Farmers Insurance, we follow the claim through to the end. It's that easy. One and Done. We're your one and done location for all your insurance needs. Auto, home, life, commercial, workers' comp, and bonds. We can help you with all your insurance needs. Give me a call today, Jim Klein Farmers Insurance at 247-5400, your one and done location in Kingsport, 247-5400.
Now available at Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City. The Hash Brown Scramble, the first breakfast bowl with Chick-fil-A. The Hash Brown Scramble, a hearty breakfast option made with Chick-fil-A's signature tot-style hash browns. Scrambled eggs, a Monterey Jack and cheddar cheese blend, and a choice of sliced Chick-fil-A nuggets or sausage. Served with jalapeno salsa, the scramble can be enjoyed in a bowl or as a burrito. The Hash Brown Scramble Bowl, 30 grams of protein when made with nuggets. The bowl and burrito start at $3.49. Served until 10:30 every morning, Monday through Saturday. The Hash Brown Scramble or burrito, again at Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City.
Back on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Let's go to the phone. He's there, our buddy Joe Vento from the Johnson City Press. Good afternoon, sir. How you doing?
How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for checking in with us. And big game on Saturday. Looks like the weather's going to be almost like a July forecast. Very summer-like, so it should be warm weather. Big crowd because another home game at Green Stadium. VMI is coming to town, and it could be a kind of a misleading game on paper. Bucks should win, but they thought that last year. Went up there and got hammered pretty good. So give us a preview. The Bucks and the VMI Cadets on Saturday here in Johnson City.
Well, first of all, I would tell you to tell anybody who's not been out there yet this year this is the last chance, last home game of the year, and you really need to come out and see what they've done out there. The stadium, I mean, we talked about it, nonstop as it was being built leading up to it, but it's exceeded expectations. So right now the stadium is the star of the show. You need to come out and see it. Plus, I mean, of all the games on the schedule, this is about the most winnable when you look at the numbers. VMI hasn't won a game, and they're last in about every category in the conference. And yet, in the press conference on Tuesday, Carl Torbush said, we're playing a very dangerous opponent. Just just one time I'd like to see a coach in the press conference say, our opponent this week is very poorly coached and we should beat the heck out of them.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes they're thinking that. They're just not going to say it.
Exactly. But that's from the PR standpoint. They're supposed to say it's a very tough opponent. But you're right. 0-9, 0-8, 0-9.
0-9. But I think they lose some credibility when they build up every team to be Ohio State or something. Even when they're 0-9. I understand you don't want to say anything bad, but to tell me they're a very dangerous opponent, they've not seemed very dangerous yet.
No.
And again, they weren't terribly dangerous last year, and they beat ETSU 37-7.
There you go. So let's take a look at the personnel. What seems to be, again, kind of a corny way to start this, but what are the strengths of this football team? You say, well, Tom, there's not many because they're 0-9. But if you had to scout, what do you think?
They got a linebacker who's among the top tacklers in the conference last year. So, a couple of years ago and not that ETSU's world beaters now, but a couple of years ago when they were just getting started, and you really had to search for something nice to say about them, you'd always point toward Dylan Weigel because he was always making a lot of tackles. Well, VMI has a linebacker like that. Their quarterback, I believe, has 3 touchdown passes and 9 interceptions, and they've given up a lot of touchdown passes. So they had Greg Powell, ETSU's receiver, in the press conference on Monday, and when we asked him the question about, you think you might get some opportunities, he did that politically correct thing and said, I don't really look ahead to too much about the opponent, but his eyes lit up. You could tell. He knows that they're going to get some chances, and frankly, that's about the only way ETSU can score on anybody is throwing the ball. They keep trying to run it. They're stubborn, but 8 games in, and they haven't done it yet. So I wouldn't mind seeing them throw it 50 times.
So again, we're talking to Joe Vento, who's on the screen with the Johnson City Press. So what is the problem with the running game for East Tennessee State? Just not big enough up front? The backs are too slow? What's the problem?
They're big enough. They just don't seem to hold the blocks long enough. And a couple times, it's easy to watch from where we're watching from it and make criticism, but a couple times I did see some holes, and I saw a running back cut into traffic instead of into a hole. So it's not always the offensive line's fault, but they sure get their share of the blame for the running game, and the fact that Austin Herring, the quarterback, is proven week in, week out that he's about the toughest guy in the league to be as successful as he is throwing the ball with the pounding he takes week after week.
We're talking to Joe Vento again. So East Tennessee State and VMI squaring off on Saturday afternoon at Green Stadium in Johnson City. Hey, don't forget this month at Champion Chevrolet, it's GM employee pricing on select Silverados, Traverses, Tahoes, Suburbans, and 20% off select 2017 Corvettes. In fact, a couple ladies right here in the showroom looking at a Corvette as we speak. So got those 20% off on select 2017 Corvettes. And so, Joe, you look at this East Tennessee State football team, they need a win, obviously. And so they take on an opponent on paper they very much should defeat. So what must they do to win this football game on Saturday afternoon?
They need to just take care of the ball and play their game, and don't try to do anything they don't do. And they're going to try to run it, and maybe they'll have some success. But I have advocated to just start throwing it everywhere. And Carl tells me that he's not going to do that because he doesn't want to get his quarterback hit anymore. But like I said, 8 games in, you are what you are. But they're going to try to run it, and who knows if they get some success doing that, and then that play action, that they keep trying play action passes, and everybody kind of laughs like, yeah, you're not threatening anybody when you're doing a play action because we don't believe you can run anyway. So we'll just try to cover your guys. So, but anyway, Austin Herring should have a big game. He's one of the best pure passers that I've seen at this level. I always say, if you give him 5 seconds, he's going to kill you. If you give him 3 seconds, he's got a chance. Unfortunately, there's been times when he gets a second and a half, and but those are the times where he looks kind of human. So they need to just take care of the ball. Don't do anything stupid and give VMI any false hope with short fields on turnovers or shank punts or anything. They take care of the ball and play their game. Their defense is good enough. to carry them. I kind of envision them winning. I picked a score, and I don't even remember what my score was, but it wasn't going to. I didn't pick it very close.
Alan Kratzenberg, the 6'3" senior from Pennsylvania, led the Southern Conference with 126 tackles a year ago. He's got 97 tackles this year. One of the problems with VMI, Joe, is Al Cobb, who threw for 3 touchdowns last year, decided to forego his final year of eligibility. So, he left as the school's all-time passing leader with over 7,700 yards and 43 touchdowns. So he's gone. They've had to kind of stopgap that particular situation. So on paper, Bucks ought to win this thing. After this Saturday, what's left of the schedule for 2018?
Well, they'll be going to Samford, and they're not going to surprise Samford. Samford, nationally ranked, has the playoffs on the horizon if they take care of business. And they made the playoffs last year, even though ETSU beat them on the last day of the season. So that's one that will be tough. Samford's very powerful offense. They throw the ball all over the place, much like I would like to see ETSU do. And then it's at Chattanooga. And, I mean, wow, at this time last year, Chattanooga was ranked, and they're 2-7 now. And 2-7, counting a big win last week over Samford. So, all of a sudden, the Chattanooga game looks like a winnable affair for ETSU. So if they can knock off VMI and somehow upset Samford again, and you can't say it never because they did it last year. So that would send them into Chattanooga with a chance at a winning season, which I don't think anybody envisioned that at this point yet.
We're talking to Joe Avento. Let's switch gears before I let you go. Kickoff is at 3:30 on Saturday for football. Tonight.
No, it's 3 o'clock.
I'm sorry, 3 o'clock. I'm sorry, 3 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Tonight at Freedom Hall, Blue Nanza, Buck basketball. Tell me about it.
Oh man, this is going to be your second chance to see them. They had an open scrimmage about a week ago, but tonight is kind of a loose affair where they're going to have some dunk contest, 3-pointers, and little bit of scrimmaging for the men's team. The women's team will be there. And, the men's team was picked 4th in the Southern Conference preseason, mostly because people look at what they've lost. And the people that do the voting, and I'm guilty of this with the other teams, they don't see what they've gained. And what I see when I walk on the court is a real college basketball team. They're big, they're athletic, they're fast, they can shoot. And apparently this team might be a better defensive team than last year. So, wow. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with them right now, other than they were hit with some bad news. Jerome Rodriguez, Steve Forbes says he ranked his players 1 through 17 coming out of summer, and Jerome was a junior college transfer. He was number 2. So they were expecting big things. He was the number 4 rated power forward coming out of junior college last year, and he came to ETSU, and he has a shoulder injury, and he's going to have surgery and miss the entire season. So they'll have him for 2 years. But, boy, I'd like to see him with this group.
Joe Avento, again, the Johnson City Press. What are you working on this week for us to read in the Johnson City Press?
Well, you know what? Basketball's coming up really quick. They open the season next Friday at Northern Kentucky, and a week after that, we're all going to Lexington to watch them play the Kentucky Wildcats. And I told Forbes, if you don't win it, you don't win them all anyway. You're going to lose some here and there, so you may as well take a crack at the big boys, because if you do beat them, everybody in the country will know who East Tennessee State is. So you got that going for you. So right now it's a busy time. I got a lot of football, and I got a lot of basketball on my plate. So every day is a big day.
Every day is a big day. Love reading your articles. Thank you for your time. And, hey, we'll talk to you next week, all right?
Okay, Tom. Thank you.
Yes,
goodbye.
Super job. Joe Avento again for the Johnson City Press previewing the Buccaneers and VMI. Again, a 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday at Green Stadium here in Johnson City. Weather should be perfecto for that football game on Saturday afternoon, the final home game of the 2017 campaign for the Buccaneers of Coach Carl Torbush. And again, 'tis the season, of course, to be out there on the recruiting trail, and they are. So we'll get an update from Joe next week. That first signing date comes in December the 1st, and the second signing date, the traditional signing date, on that first Wednesday in February. So the Bucs are out there beating the bushes, trying to get players for the next 4 years, and we'll see how that's going. We'll check in with Joe next week. Quick break. We'll come right back, and my man Dave Angie is going to check in with Doug Fritz. He's sitting by the phone. We're ready to go. talking high school football playoffs tomorrow night. Everybody's playing at 7 o'clock. That's the start time all the way through the playoffs to accommodate travel. There's a big game tonight in 6A football. Farragut, let's see, the Farragut Admirals taking on, oh gosh, they're all running together, so let me see who they're playing. Farragut is taking on Cleveland. Farragut at 8-2, Cleveland at 7-3. For whatever reason, they're playing tonight, and so we will let you find out what they think about those games coming up tomorrow night and the game tonight. Dave Angie, the co-host, and Doug Fritz next year on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show live. Of course, we are sitting inside the studio, inside the showroom of Champion Chevrolet in the Bristol Highway Motor Mile in Johnson City.
At American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the 8 areas of your vehicle that takes constant continuing education is the air conditioner on your vehicle.
Well, you would think that AC would be a simple one, but it's getting to be a lot bigger than just AC. It's the management of the system, not just AC, but heat and everything. It's a lot more computer controlled than it used to be. It used to be just a little button on the dash that you pushed. Now there's all kinds of electronics involved in that. Braking systems used to be fairly simple. Now some of the newer vehicles, you have to have a computer to actually operate the braking system to make sure that it's okay after you've worked on it. Computer controlled of the engine is becoming very important. There's a lot to that. Each one of these areas, the technology is just tripled and quadrupled in the last few years. It's hard to keep up. You really need to stay in the books and know what's going on with them.
American Import and Auto Repair, Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111. Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's Friday night at 7 o'clock. You've been involved in a car accident. You may be out of state on vacation or just a few miles from home. What do you do? Who do you call? At Farmers Insurance Group, one call is all you have to make. Hello, this is Jim Klein, an agent with Farmers Insurance. It's called One and Done. You don't have to wait till Monday morning to file a claim. You can make the initial call and we'll begin right away to help you. We assist you in moving the vehicle to a certified repair shop, getting you set up with rental car, and informing your agent. Then here the staff at Jim Klein Farmers Insurance, we follow the claim through to the end. It's that easy. One and Done. We're your one and done location for all your insurance needs. Auto, home, life, commercial, workers' comp, and bonds. We can help you with all your insurance needs. Give me a call today, Jim Klein Farmers Insurance at 247-5400, your one and done location in Kingsport, 247-5400.
Now available Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City. The Hash Brown Scramble, the first breakfast bowl with Chick-fil-A. The Hash Brown Scramble, a hearty breakfast option made with Chick-fil-A's signature tot-style hash browns, scrambled eggs, a Monterey Jack and cheddar cheese blend, and a choice of sliced Chick-fil-A nuggets or sausage. Served with jalapeno salsa, the scramble can be enjoyed in a bowl or as a burrito. The Hash Brown Scramble Bowl, 30 grams of protein when made with nuggets. The bowl and burrito start at $3.49. Served until 10:30 every morning, Monday through Saturday. The Hash Brown Scramble or burrito, again at Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City.
Welcome back to the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview. We are here. It is playoff time, ready to see who wins and who goes home. And for that, we're going to bring in Doug Fritz, a man who knows a lot about high school football here. Doug, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Dave?
Man, I'm doing pretty well. Excited about playoff football coming up, but you can just kind of tell there's a little bit more intensity this time of year. Obviously, everything on the line for these teams. A lot of big games, a lot of games that look like they could go either way. I think one that's intriguing to me in Class 5A is you look at Daniel Boone at home against a Knox Central team that's been a little bit up and down this year, but certainly capable of playing good football.
Yeah, I think Coach Jenkins is maybe a little bit concerned about their speed, and that's a team that had a great season last year, and so I'm sure they've got some carryover effect going into the playoffs, even though their regular season hasn't been, up to those same standards. But Daniel Boone, if they just come in and do the things that they do well, they should be okay. But it's just it's playoff time, and we'll just see if nerves and being at home for a playoff game, if that sort of gets under Boone's own skin a little bit, and if not, then I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, Daniel Boone's a team that obviously wants to run the football and has a lot of capable runners, but I guess the talk's kind of around Charlie Cole, a guy that's been really limited this year. He had a hamstring, maybe first game of the season, really early, and has kind of had limited reps with that and kind of struggled with that ever since. Do you have any sense where he's at health-wise?
Well, just the fact that he only carried it, I think, one time last week. And it wasn't necessarily a need thing, but you can look at that two ways. They were kind of saving him for this week, or he's just still not ready to go. And, you see these athletes that get these hamstrings, and it's one of those things that just tends to not want to heal. And it doesn't heal fast, and you've just got to stay off of it, and you try and get through a football season. I can't see any way he's going to be 100%. I'm sure they'd like to have him even if he's 75, but, I think Boone, going into this game, they have to think, hey, we've got other guys. We've got Maunger. We got C.J. Carter's a receiver. We've got Noah Shelton, one of the better quarterbacks around, and good offensive line and strong defense. I think Boone's okay, but it'd be nice to have Cole out there too.
Yeah, looking at the cross-county rival there, David Crockett, they're back in the playoffs again this year. Familiar opponent in the playoffs, playing Knox Halls. Both these teams are 5-5 football teams. Obviously everything at Crockett's been well documented, but they're in the playoffs again and get a shot this week. What do you think their chances are as they go down to play Knox Halls?
Well, I was kind of in Crockett's corner there going against Morristown East, and the way that thing turned out. It's kind of hard to look at Crockett and think, okay, this team, after losing to Morristown East at home, is going to go on the road and beat, a team, down in the Knoxville area, which, granted, that region's not been very strong this year if you look at their body of work, but it's still the Knoxville area, so not that strong from that region, still doesn't add up to any kind of automatic win for anybody up here. And, I just don't think that's a very good situation for Crockett. They're not going to have the Collies. They're two of their best athletes, maybe their two best athletes. Larkins can throw it 50 times or whatever, but he's going to miss, not having those two guys around. And, it's just hard what Crockett's been through. I think this is the end of the line for them. And, of course, if they do win, it'd be one of the better stories of that we've seen around here in quite some time.
Yeah, still, even though it's not looking good for them on the road, for those kids to be able to kind of circle the wagons a little bit, get into the playoffs, given everything that happened. I think it says a lot for the kids down there who are still playing, and in terms of Lingerfeld stepping in and kind of providing some stability. I think they really did a good job down that way.
Yeah, they have, and they fought through this storm, and now they're just going to play a football game. That's probably the best thing about this. There's no longer a cloud hanging over. Everybody's just talking about Crockett to go play a football game. Can they win the game with what they have on the table? And I've got a lot of confidence in Nick Lingerfeld as a coach. He's not a football coach really, but I've got a lot of confidence in him as a coach, and sometimes a good coach can cook up a decent game plan, and he's got some veterans helping him, and who knows? They might go down there and surprise me. I just know it's tall odds.
Yeah, definitely so. Speaking of tall odds, East Ridge on the road at Greenville. That's a long bus ride up to Greenville if you're East Ridge, I would imagine.
Yeah, and they just not had a very good season down there at East Ridge. It's just going to be a tough sell for them to expect to come up here, and even that's one of those games you just point to that and say if it's not a running clock by halftime, then East Ridge has done a good job. So Greenville should be able to salt that one away early and start thinking about really, if you look at Greenville, I mean, they're basically, they're basically going to be sitting pretty until the quarterfinals, and they'll potentially watch Elizabethton and Anderson County have to battle each other in that second round game, and they'll just pick up the scraps from that one and probably just move right on along. I just don't see anybody challenging Greenville this year in the postseason.
Yeah, you alluded to it a little bit. We kind of started the season with that. With those two teams on a collision course, Elizabethton and Greenville. Of course, Greenville got the better of that game. Elizabethton hoping to have another chance. Obviously, they open against Sequoia this week, and then they're looking ahead possibly to a 10-0 Anderson County team. You see an undefeated team in the playoffs like Anderson County. What do you know about that squad?
Just the fact that they score like crazy, and they're averaging about 50 points a game, and they also keep people from scoring. They're giving up about 8 or 10 or something. So they're just beating people to death this year. And but part of that is a very, very weak. I shouldn't say very, very weak. I say a weak region too. When you look at the overall scheme of things, and they've been able to take advantage of that. It's basically a Knoxville team going down there and beating up on those Chattanooga schools, and Anderson County's more than happy to do that, and they're talking big from what I understand, and boasting, and we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens when they get a hold of Elizabethton, and then we'll see, assuming Elizabethton wins, and then we'll see what happens when they get a hold of Greenville. And I don't expect, that they can match up with Greenville, but they do have a nice, you look at their body of work this year, and it's nice. It's impressive.
Yeah, and you alluded to if Elizabethton wins, obviously before they can start looking ahead to either of those teams, Elizabethton's got to take care of Sequoia, coming in with a 5-5 record. Not all that impressive. What is Elizabethton doing this week in order to just kind of stay focused and stay ready for that first round game?
Well, I think the good thing is that Sequoia has a kid that's Josh Stakely, I think is his name, who has like 1,800 some all-purpose yards, and then on defense he's got 7 interceptions and 2 fumble recoveries. And anytime you bring somebody onto the football field like that, obviously he's had success against everybody throughout the course of the season. So, and they've got a good quarterback who's put up good numbers, and so this is a team that comes in with the capability and potential of putting points on the board. So that gets when you hadn't played them before and you don't really know much about that region. A lot of people don't even know where Sequoia is, and these kids are going to be. I think Elizabethton's going to treat this as a regular playoff game, and they better come to play, and they better come to be able to score, 28, 30 points if they're going to win this game, because I think Sequoia is going to score a few points on them anyway.
Yeah, definitely, and you look down at Class 3A, and just the dream season here for Johnson County. They got to that 10-0 mark, and with that, they've earned themselves a home playoff game here. And I imagine the atmosphere up there in Mountain City tomorrow night is just going to be crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, but I'm telling you, I got to digging in on the Northview. Northview's still got that same quarterback they had last year, and I was impressed by him. He was really good, and he got a lot of stuff done, had a big season. He's come back with a big season this year, Justin Howard. And, I looked at what they've done this year, and you look at the teams they've played and how they've competed against the Loudon and Kingston and Austin East and these other teams that they've played, and then they just blew Chucky Doak away, and they blew Sullivan North away. They lost a rivalry game to Pittman. It was probably their worst game of the season. But I think their quarterback missed one game. I don't know if that was a game he missed. But anyway, you look at what Northview's done this season, and I started looking at that, I'm going, I'm not sure Johnson County's going to beat them. I think a lot of people are looking at, Johnson County's 10-0, and here comes this team. But that's a good Northview team, and Johnson County's going to have to play, and I think there's a possibility of an upset there.
Yeah, the big home field advantage here, I mean, people having to go up the mountain there to Mountain City, and that's not an easy bus ride. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, let alone down the road the way Northview is. And, I've seen teams, and I'm sure you have too in the past, where you make that long of a bus trip, and it seems like it just takes a little bit of the starch out of the sails.
Well, it can, and you don't know how kids are going to react to that. I know that sometimes even a hour and a half bus ride can be tough. And like you said, here they come up the road, and then once they get past Elizabeth, and they still got to go up the mountain. So it's going to be a challenge for them for sure to try and take care of that part of the equation. But once they get out and start playing football, Johnson County's going to have to play well. I don't, more than anything else, they're going to have to play one of their better games because they've struggled in some, they struggled against West Green, they struggled against Chucky Doak, they struggled a little bit against Cloudland. I mean, they've had to fight and scrap, and they didn't exactly blow Unicoi away. So they've had to earn what they've got, and then they're going to have to earn it again Friday night.
Yeah, speaking of that Unicoi team, they're in 3A. They've drawn a tough assignment. A lot of seasons up in this neck of the woods have ended down at Austin East, and that's where Unicoi County is headed Friday night. Seems like kind of a tall task for them.
Yeah, that's just, they just don't have the, it comes down to football when there's that big of a discrepancy, and I'm making an assumption here, but when there's that big of a discrepancy in speed, playing football is just so hard because, they can just get out on the edges when they have the ball, and then when they're on defense, they can blitz people off the edge and stuff like that you can't pick them up, and it's just so hard to overcome that. And really the only way you can do that is if you have a team that can just sit there and just hand it to the fullback and get 3 yards a pop and eat clock and then hope you can get the other team to turn it over. But that's not the type of team Unicoi County is this year. So it's just a tough order, plus being on the road. And if you've ever been down to Austin East, it's an intimidating environment. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, you go down there and it's tough. I mean, you got to overcome the elements, and it's going to be a challenge for Unicoi County.
Yeah, definitely. You look at Sullivan North going down to Class 2A now. They're hosting a Cumberland Gap team that, decent record for Cumberland Gap, but I don't think they've played the schedule or the competition necessarily that North has. Do you expect North to kind of be able to really grind it away with that running game?
I expect that to be a good football game. I've got a lot of respect for that region down there. So, and I think North definitely they've kind of proven me wrong when they beat Happy Valley. So I didn't give them the respect they deserved. But they certainly have the capability of winning this football game. But I think it's going to be a challenge.
And another game there in 2A, Happy Valley's at home in the first round. Obviously, kind of mentioned they've had their ups and downs this year, but seem to be playing pretty decent football getting to the playoffs.
Yeah, Happy Valley, they turned it around after that losing streak, which were tough losses, and they just kind of gutted it back out, went back to work and chopping wood. Now they're going to the playoff game. This is a tough challenge for them. I mean, that's a good region down there, and I think Happy Valley's going to have to play well to win.
All right, and final game here in the Class A. Look at that Cloudland team. You talk about them going up there, and they really played Johnson County tough, which I was impressed with that. 8-2 record on the year. They're at home, and they're hosting Midway this week. What do you expect out of that one?
I think it's a game that Cloudland should be okay in, but Midway's kind of one of those programs that's kind of mid-level down there, and that region's usually better than this region. So I don't think Cloudland can take that for granted, but I think they get Jordan Coffey, who was the Northeast Tennessee rushing leader for 2017. I think they use him and Josh Blair and take care of the football. It should be okay.
All right. Well, that's an excellent roundup of all the games tomorrow night. I hope folks get out and watch them. All the kickoffs are at 7 o'clock starting tomorrow night for the first round of the playoffs. It'll be fun to see who ends up where. But definitely appreciate your time and your expertise and your knowledge, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Dave.
All right. A little bit later on in the show, I'm going to be talking some Region 1 6A football. That's the one classification we didn't get into there with Doug, and we'll try to break down some of those games. A lot of competitive games in that region coming up tomorrow night. A little bit later on in the show, I'll be doing that. But up next, we're going to have Chris McCall. He's going to be here to talk Virginia Tech and Miami, the marquee game of the week. He's got the game of the week this week. He's excited to talk about it. We're excited to have him over here to do that. But right now, we're going to take a timeout, and we'll be back on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show.
At American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the 8 areas of your vehicle that takes constant continuing education is the air conditioner on your vehicle.
Well, you would think that AC would be a simple one, but it's getting to be a lot bigger than just AC. It's the management of the system, not just AC, but heat and everything. It's a lot more computer controlled than it used to be. It used to be just a little button on the dash that you pushed. Now there's all kinds of electronics involved in that. braking systems used to be fairly simple. Now, some of the newer vehicles, you have to have a computer to actually operate the braking system to make sure that it's okay after you've worked on it. Computer controlled of the engine is becoming very important. There's a lot to that. Each one of these areas, the technology is just tripled and quadrupled in the last few years. It's hard to keep up. You really need to stay in the books and know what's going on with them.
American Import Auto Repair, Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111. Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's Friday night at 7 o'clock. You've been involved in a car accident. You may be out of state on vacation or just a few miles from home. What do you do? Who do you call? At Farmers Insurance Group, one call is all you have to make. Hello, this is Jim Klein, an agent with Farmers Insurance. It's called One and Done. You don't have to wait till Monday morning to file a claim. You can make the initial call and we'll begin right away to help you. We assist you in moving the vehicle to a certified repair shop, getting you set up with rental car, and informing your agent. Then here the staff at Jim Klein Farmers Insurance, we follow the claim through to the end. It's that easy. One and Done. We're your one and done location for all your insurance needs. Auto, home, life, commercial, workers' comp, and bonds. We can help you with all your insurance needs. Give me a call today, Jim Klein Farmers Insurance at 247-5400, your one and done location in Kingsport, 247-5400.
Now available, Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City. The Hash Brown Scramble, the first breakfast bowl with Chick-fil-A. The Hash Brown Scramble, a hearty breakfast option made with Chick-fil-A's signature tot-style hash browns, scrambled eggs, a Monterey Jack and cheddar cheese blend, and a choice of sliced Chick-fil-A nuggets or sausage. Served with jalapeno salsa, the scramble can be enjoyed in a bowl or as a burrito. The Hash Brown Scramble Bowl, 30 grams of protein when made with nuggets. The bowl and burrito start at $3.49. Served until 10:30 every morning, Monday through Saturday. The Hash Brown Scramble or burrito, again at Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City.
Back again, we're live here again at Champion Chevrolet inside the studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet. And with us, of course, is one of the finance managers. There's two, isn't there?
Two finance managers,
yeah.
Lynn Lloyd and Chris McCall.
And Chris McCall is the man with the plan with the sun in his eyes.
That's right, boy. It's coming through there, too.
He's beaming sun. Usually it's on Andy when Andy's over here because Andy's so bright his daddy calls him son. But,
yeah, we need to keep a sheet over him most of the time.
Man. He is out of control. He won this thing 10 for 10. He's trying to get everybody in the place to eat a piece of pie.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it just goes to show you that you don't have to know anything you're talking about to succeed in something. I mean, it's almost sad, isn't it? But
poor Andy.
Whatever works for Andy, it works for Andy. Yeah. Yeah.
He's beat him 2 weeks in a row. He said, Tom, I'll go over and pick this week. It's like taking candy from a baby to beat Tim.
I can't get in between that. You know, they're both my bosses. And I can't talk hateful about either one of them.
Right, but they get after each other pretty good. So
that's what I like.
Hokie high, man. This is
Big
it coming
week.
up on Saturday night. The Hokies at 7-1, 13th in the country in Florida, take on the 9th-ranked Hurricanes at 7-0. National televised game, 8 o'clock from Miami. All the makings of a barn burner.
Oh, buddy, Miami Gardens is going to be lighting up, aren't they, Saturday night? I really think that it's going to be one of those games. Well, this is the signature win that both these coaches have been looking for, to tell you the truth. I mean, neither one of them have really had one yet. So I believe that this game right here is, for either one of them, is going to be the game that they haven't won yet. So it's going to be nice to see them both get after each other. Miami and Tech always get after each other. It's always a slobber knocker of a game. It's a good one to go to.
What's the preview? Tell me what you think.
Well, everything I've seen, the line's 1.5, so that goes to tell you how close this is.
Wow.
Most of the picks, including Chris McCall's pick, is that Tech's going to win this football game. It's a story of two different types of seasons. Miami came out of the gate really, really hard, and they did great, and they've still won. Don't get me wrong, but the last 4 games they've really, really struggled. Won late in games. Their run offense has been absolutely horrendous. They're going to have to rely a whole lot on Rozier and Richards and that Langman kid to do really well this week, I think. And, Tech's secondary is no slouch. So that's going to be the matchup that really is going to determine the game. Well, that and Tech's secondary versus Miami's secondary versus Tech's. That's going to be the matchup that's really going to get us there, or we're going to see what's going to happen. And we're going to find out what kind of outcome we'll have.
You want to come this way and get out of the
just a little bit, Tom. There we go. That's better.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better. Come on here. We're going to hug up, aren't we? There we go.
Me and Andy do, so you and I can. So. 2015, you go down and take on the Hurricanes. Of course, a whole different set of circumstances than 2 years ago. You still had Beamer for Virginia Tech, and I'm not sure who the coach was for. It was not Mark Richt. So they win. Again, down there 2 years ago, it was 30-20 Miami. Then you go back to 2013. You go down to the Hokies, win 42-24. Then you play them back-to-back 2012. You go down, but you lose 30-12. So the Hurricanes have had some success against Virginia Tech. Last year, of course, in Blacksburg, Hokies got them pretty good, 37-16, beat them by 3 touchdowns. So a lot riding on this game, not only for Virginia Tech and for Miami, but for the ACC Conference as a whole. Postseason's right around the corner. The bowl is going to be passed out here in another couple of weeks, so this is big. Both are bowl eligible. Obviously, you got to have 6, and they're both clearly in for a big bowl game, but it goes beyond that for both of these schools. This is huge.
Oh, yeah, it's huge. This is going to determine really what kind of bowl game you're going to get, because basically what's going to happen is that whoever wins this is going to win that Coastal Division. I mean, Virginia's a player, don't get me wrong, and they're playing good football. I don't think they're playing the kind of football that Miami or Virginia Tech are playing right now. So, and you can't count them out either, don't get me wrong. But I don't think that I think this is going to be the stepping stone to who's going to get to play Clemson. And I think we're going to find out who's going to win the ACC this weekend.
2 of the next 3 will be on the road for the Hokies. They go to Georgia Tech next weekend in Atlanta, then come back and play Pitt at home and wrap things up with the Commonwealth Cup in Virginia. Charlottesville on Thanksgiving weekend, on rivalry weekend. So there's a lot of football left, but clearly this will kind of set the table, as you said, for the rest of the way.
It sure is. We're going to see if Tech can come out and be victorious Saturday night. I think we're high stepping to the ACC championship.
Every big game, you can go back and look, all the big games are determined more times than not by special teams. A kicking game, a good field goal kicker, a good punter, good punt returner. What kind of special teams do the Hokies have? Who's your kickers?
Well, this year their kickers, the kicker that they've had, field goals, hasn't had a great year. Not a typical Virginia Tech kicker. But he's come along pretty good, especially late in the season, the beginning of the season, the first 2 or 3 games, he kind of had a rough go of it. He's really seemed to do a real good job. Punt-wise, they're still just like they've always been. They're kicking it deep. Don't have many flub-ups on that end of the ball. And I think that special team-wise this week, Tech special teams, they'll shine again. They're not exactly playing Beamer ball like they used to, like we used to say years ago, and until 2 years ago we still did. But that's still a focus up there because it's been a focus for so many years.
So, obviously on the rumor mill, a lot of these college football teams, the big boys, getting ready to have some openings. You're looking at Arkansas, you're looking at Auburn possibly, certainly Texas A&M, certainly Tennessee, even Florida. They've got an interim in Randy Shannon. So, Justin Fuente's name's being batted around pretty good. The guy's 17-5 in 2 years. So, what's the chances the Hokies can keep him, and what's the chances he's going to be looking elsewhere being courted?
I really think that Fuentes is happy where he's at. And that's just not because I'm a Tech guy. I like to follow him and keep up with him and always have been. It seems to me from what I talk to everybody, I've never met Justin Fuentes, but I'll keep up with you.
Assignment.
Yes, sir.
I want you to work it out so we can get Dewey on this show next Thursday night.
I bet I can do that.
Have him phone in. We can talk about the Bluefield College.
I bet I can do that.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
We'll make that happen.
We won't go up there and call a game, Chris and I, but we're running out of games, so I think we got one more left, right?
They'll have one more after this week. So.
I drive up there and live stream ball game just for old Dewey because he's from Bluefield.
Well, he's from Christiansburg originally. But, I mean, he coached at Emory for years. He lived there in Abington. Then he lived in Big Stone for years while he coached at Wise. And now he's in Tazewell County. So he's one of us, and that's why I like him so much. I'm glad he's being successful.
Like how he snarls. That's why I like him.
That's why I like him so much.
There you go. This is the man.
Yes, sir. You are the man.
GM employee pricing right here this month at Champion Chevrolet. That's a great deal. Tell me about that.
It is time to come. You get the price that I get to buy a car for. You get the price that the man that works in Detroit gets to buy the price for. So it's time to come down. We've got more incentives on top of that. We're going to take care of you. You can get a new Traverse, an Express van, a Tahoe, a truck, a Suburban. We will take care of you.
There you go. Or 20% off select 2017 Cruises, Malibus, Corvettes, Sonics, and Impalas, or 0% for up to 72 months in lieu of 20% off. So, and if you want to come in and see the man, they simply call Pig. There you go. He's right there. So you want to be on the screen? He said, nope, not a chance. This is what he says every time Chris and I sit down over. You say, what is it? It's time for what?
You know, I've known Pig for 20 years, and I've only wanted to kill him for 19 of those years. But he's a great guy. Come and see him. Ask for Pig.
There you go. Or Jay or any of these guys.
Jay.
Any of them.
Lloyd, Tom. You ask for them, they'll take good care of you.
You got it.
Randy, don't forget Randy. They're all standing there, so I've got to say them all.
Watching us. I feel like we're two fishing.
I know, it's bad. I can't leave anybody out.
Have you had any of Andy's 10 for 10 championship pie?
I haven't had. I don't believe I had a chance to get any pie. I mean, you give that guy pie. I mean, Andy is widening out a little bit. The rest of us are trying to lose. He's thickening up some.
He's going to have a big birthday this month.
Right? How old will Andy be? 44?
No.
40.
He's a big 4-0.
You're kidding.
No. Coming up a little bit later in the month.
Well, I hope he can tell me what 40's like. I just don't know what that is.
You know what it is? Somehow.
You'd be right not to believe that.
Work on Dewey next week.
We'll do that.
Let's get Dewey.
Yes, sir.
What'd you say the score? 14-7 Hokies?
17-14 Hokies.
17-14 Hokies.
Yes, sir.
You heard it right here. Chris McCall, finance manager, Champion Chevrolet, who is a diehard Hokie man. Hokie.
Hi.
We'll take a break. These country's cornbread. I love it. We'll take a break. We'll come right back, and Dave and I will talk about the pick and panel of the college picks this week, and also he's going to preview the Big East Conference as we roll on here on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show.
At American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the 8 areas of your vehicle that takes constant continuing education is the air conditioner on your vehicle.
Well, you would think that AC would be a simple one, but it's getting to be a lot bigger than just AC. It's the management of the system, not just AC, but heat and everything. It's a lot more computer controlled than it used to be. It used to be just a little button on the dash that you pushed. Now there's all kinds of electronics involved in that. Braking systems used to be fairly simple. Now some of the newer vehicles, you have to have a computer to actually operate the braking system to make sure that it's okay after you've worked on it. Computer controlled of the engine is becoming very important. There's a lot to that. Each one of these areas, the technology has just tripled and quadrupled in the last few years. It's hard to keep up. You really need to stay in the books and know what's going on with them.
American Import and Auto Repair, Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111. Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's Friday night at 7 o'clock. You've been involved in a car accident. You may be out of state on vacation or just a few miles from home. What do? Who do you call? At Farmers Insurance Group, one call is all you have to make. Hello, this is Jim Klein, an agent with Farmers Insurance. It's called One and Done. You don't have to wait till Monday morning to file a claim. You can make the initial call and we'll begin right away to help you. We assist you in moving the vehicle to a certified repair shop, getting you set up with rental car, and informing your agent. Then here are the staff at Jim Klein Farmers Insurance. We follow the claim through to the end. It's that easy. One and Done. We're your one and done location for all your insurance needs. Auto, home, life, commercial, workers' comp, and bonds. We can help you with all your insurance needs. Give me a call today, Jim Klein Farmers Insurance at 247-5400, your one and done location in Kingsport, 247-5400.
Now available Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City. The Hash Brown Scramble, the first breakfast bowl with Chick-fil-A. The Hash Brown Scramble, a hearty breakfast option made with Chick-fil-A's signature tot-style hash browns, scrambled eggs, a Monterey Jack and cheddar cheese blend, and a choice of sliced Chick-fil-A nuggets or sausage. Served with jalapeno salsa, the scramble can be enjoyed in a bowl or as a burrito. The Hash Brown Scramble Bowl, 30 grams of protein when made with nuggets. The bowl and burrito start at $3.49. Served until 10:30 every morning, Monday through Saturday. The Hash Brown Scramble or burrito, again at Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City.
Back with the Champion 5-Star Football Preview Show. Thanks for being with us. We are live here at Champion Chevrolet. Be sure to like us and share it. That's the name of the game. And we, again, thank you. This is our maiden voyage, year number 1 of the show. We certainly appreciate my men over there, Andy Dietrich and Tim Copenhaver and all the folks here at Champion Chevrolet. So, Big East football tomorrow night. One game tonight. We're going to let it start with the game tonight. They're playing on Thursday. And so here's what we got going on. We'll start with the game this evening. Farragut, Region 1 number 2 seed, the Farragut Admirals at 8-2, hosting Cleveland, who's the number 3 seed out of Region 2, 7-3. And Dave Angie, the co-host of the show, is back with us. And Dave, we're going to preview all 4 of these games, and we'll look at the pick'em panel as well. So game number 1 is tonight. Farragut 8-2, hosting Cleveland 7-3. What's your take on that ball game?
Yeah, you know, this Cleveland team, we're going to talk a little bit in a minute about how even all these early playoff games are, particularly Science Hill Bradley Central. That to me is such a toss-up. And, with that in mind, you look at game earlier this year where Bradley Central snuck by Cleveland with a 27-21 win. And that to me shows that Cleveland team's for real, and I believe Farragut is as well. Obviously being a team that won a home playoff game to start the playoffs, that speaks for itself about how well they did in what I think is a very tough region up here in Region 1. So, I give them a slight advantage, but you can't sleep on Cleveland. I mean, they've had kind of a rough stretch over the past few years, but this team this year, I think, can score with Farragut. So, going to put a little more pressure on them, going to make it a little bit tougher for them to win this ball game. But I think from what I've seen from Farragut, they're such a solid team on both sides of the ball. They don't hurt themselves a lot. I think that'll give them the edge to win that game.
At one point, they'd reeled off, 19, 20 games in a row, is that correct?
They did. They hit the Dobbins-Bennett speed bump, this year, and obviously had a rough one there, but it speaks for itself. They're a good football program, and I definitely expect a great game in that one. Cleveland, if you look at what they did throughout the year, I mean, they're able to score a lot of points, and that's the key in the playoffs. I mean, you got to be able to score. You wind up with some shootouts at this time of the year, and I think it's going to be one of those where minimizing the mistakes is going to be a key in that ball game.
Talking to Dave Angie, the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. We do this every single week, and again, like us and share us, and we thank you for that. It is, as we said, Farragut and Cleveland tonight. Tomorrow night, Science Hill, the number 3 seed in Region 1, traveling to Bradley Central to battle the Bears, the number 2 seed in Region 2. Of course, Science Hill stubbed their toe. They were in the catbird seat and let one get away, letting Jefferson County, the last place team, put up 31 straight to beat them 2 weeks ago. Of course, last week they had the bye week. They were off, and so Science Hill 7-3, traveling to Bradley Central 8-2, and preview this game tomorrow night.
Yeah, the last time Science Hill was down there, it was an all-time classic. It was back, Justin Bedard was the senior playing quarterback, and just a classic game for Science Hill. I think really set the stage for the success they've had over the last 2 or 3 years. Just the way they went down the road and had to engineer a drive in the final 2 minutes down the field to win that ball game. And I think tonight, tomorrow night's game is going to be very similar to that. I think you're going to see, Science Hill or Cleveland, whoever wins the game, is going to have to make a drive at the end of the ball game, because you look at comparative scores on this. Science Hill beat Ooltewah earlier this year. It was 62-35, and Bradley Central turns around a week or two later and wins 42-35, somewhere in there. So both teams capable of scoring a lot of points, but quite frankly both teams are capable of giving up a lot of points as well. So you look at the comparative scoring there, what you see is a very competitive football game. Kind of one of those deals that's going to come down to the fourth quarter and making plays and being able to win. I think, for Science Hill, having a mobile quarterback in Jalen Adams, I think that gives them a big key, because if he drops back and it's not open, he's got a real good sense for when to take off and run and how to pick up yards that way, and that just really puts a lot more stress on the defense, and I think that's gonna help Science Hill there. But this game right here, it's gonna come down to the smallest things. Whoever loses is gonna have a long off season to think about something that went wrong, just maybe 1 or 2 small plays.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour, he'll join us live. Kevin Harmon talking Tennessee, Southern Miss football. Lots going on in K-Town. And, of course, Kevin's got his ear to the ground. He's got a lot of sources down in Knoxville to find out what's going on with Butch Jones and the concussion protocol with Kendrick. And so we'll see what all's going on with Tennessee football coming up a little bit later on in the show. Then we'll, of course, wrap things up with Andy Dietrich. He's going to bring it home. He is the champion this past week, 10 for 10. So we'll let him come in and talk to us about some of the great savings of the month of November here at Champion Chevrolet. The Bearden Bulldogs, number 4 out of Region 1 at 6-4, traveling to the number 1 seed in Region 2. And George Quarles leaves Maryville as the head coach to go to Furman. And it was pretty cool. He was down on the sideline 2 weeks ago watching Cujo Coleman over in Elizabeth. And I look over and there's these guys in purple tops with a big F on their shirt for Furman. I thought, that looks like George Quarles, and it was. So he leaves Maryville to be coach and assistant coach at Furman. You would think things dropped off. They haven't. They're 9-1. They're hosting Bearden 6-4. And what's your take on that ball game coming up tomorrow night? 7:00 kickoff. Bearden and the Maryville Rebels.
Well, we've talked about it for years up here in Maryville. When you're talking about Dobbins Bennett and Science Hill, it's like that program down there is the measuring stick. And many times we've had our teams go down there and get hit real hard by the measuring stick, because you got to look at that team. And aside from a loss this year that they suffered against Oakland, which is a phenomenal football team, that was a 17-14 game. Other than that, they've scored points like crazy. Now, until recent weeks, they've given up a lot of points too. I think their defense has gotten a little bit tougher, which it had to in order for them to be contending for what they always are, which is the state championship. So, like you mentioned, Quarles isn't there, but they really offensively haven't missed much of a beat since then. I think whatever was going on with them defensively, and really a lot of it is they just play a really good schedule, but whatever was happening defensively, that seems to have tightened up in recent weeks too. And it's going to be a long night for Bearden. We've talked about it. It was good for Bearden to make the playoffs. They had some good wins this year with some young players on the field. They're going to gain a lot of beneficial experience tomorrow night, but I don't think there's any way they come out of there with a win.
Probably one of his best coaching jobs since he's been at Dobbins Bennett. Graham Clark took a team that was down for the count. They were just trying to hope to get into the playoffs about midway point in the season after a very, very tough schedule. Well, they got things turned around as he typically does at Dobbins Bennett. And again, Graham Clark did a masterful job coaching, I felt like. He's 7-3, the number 1 seed in the Big East Conference. Not only get in the playoffs, he won the Big East, so he's at home. And they're home field all the way through till Cookeville. Tomorrow night, test number 1, the Ooltewah Owls. Again, they're a 5-5 football team, but apparently they've got a hotshot running back that's the real deal. But can DB win it tomorrow night at J. Fred Johnson Stadium? They typically, unfortunately, if you go back and check in the past, their track record, they've had trouble in round 1s and 2s. They've got knocked off with teams that shouldn't have beat them. So is Ooltewah one of those teams tomorrow night, or can DB win it?
You know, the Owls are dangerous enough to win this ball game, you know, but I'm just so impressed with what DB has done, you know. A lot of those years you're talking about are years where Dobyns-Bennett didn't face much adversity. They're a 10-0 team going in. That's back when the conference included, you know, Sullivan Central and Volunteer. You know, they'd have a couple 70-0 wins to where they're pulling their starters. You know, this year has been the opposite of that. You know, they go out and lose to Greenville early, and I think they really shook their confidence. I mean, nobody knew at the time how good that Greenville team is. Greenville goes on and beats Science Hill. They beat Morristown West. You know, they're beating 6A competition. Then you look back at it and say that's not that bad of a loss, and DB was in position to possibly run away with that game if it weren't for turnovers. So, but you mentioned the Science Hill game. They had a rough performance the week after that loss when they went and played Sevier County. They won, but it wasn't pretty, especially in the first half. Took a loss to Alcoa after that, and then the season turned around. And you know, Graham Clark did a great job. Picking up the win over Farragut, I think, was huge for them. You know, and I think they're playing a tough running back this week. But, you know, you look at where Dobyns-Bennett's at right now, that's a team that's peaking at the playoffs, I believe. I think they're at the point they go beat Jefferson County, shut them out last week after Jefferson County beat Science Hill and beats them badly. So, you know, everybody's looking at that potential second round, and it's very much in play. Science Hill and Dobyns-Bennett could play again. That game could happen in Kingsport, and you know, not to look ahead too far, but if it does happen, I think DB might be the better team this time around. So a lot of intrigue heading into Friday. Both teams have a lot of you know, tough competition ahead of them. Neither one of these games is a gimme. I think it's going to be tough for both teams, but would be very interesting to see DB and Science Hill mix it up again.
Taking DB.
Ooh, I'm taking DB against Ooltewah. Yeah, I am.
Science Hill, Bradley Central.
I'm going to take Science Hill in that ball game by the closest of margins.
Maryville, you've already said you feel like will beat Bearden tonight. Farragut and Cleveland playing this evening. You'll take.
Can I tell you tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
No, I'll take Farragut in that ball game. I really like them, and I think they've done a great job this year. So, yeah, and that would be a pretty good night for Region 1 if that happened. They'd go 3-1 if my predictions are right. But maybe we need to ask Andy Dietrich. The man's undefeated. So
he's 10 for 10. He is perfection. And, yeah, he went 10 for 10 last week. The pick and panel is up and running for this week. TomTaylorSports.com/football. Amy McDuffie from Elizabethton. She was our winner. We've had more female winners. We had guy winners this year.
We have.
I think it's awesome.
That's great.
I think it's fantastic that the ladies A are watching and B playing. We're about to give you the 10 picks. Now, we went to all 10 colleges this week because with the playoffs in high school, there's no regular season schedule. So I'm going to make these up. In fact, I'm making up next week's tonight to send over and have it ready to go. So there's no way I can let you know who's playing in high school this far out. So for next week. So from here on in, at least for the next week or two, it's going to be all college picks. Before we switch out and go to the pick and panel on some of the college games, you look at Class 5A, Daniel Boone, Morristown, East Tennessee High, Crockett from Region 1. Region 2, every one of these guys, Knox Central, Sevier County, South Doyle, and Knox Halls, all four of those teams are all 5-5. So either it's a soft conference or a tough conference, I'm not sure which, but all four teams, I've never seen that before, an identical 5-5 record. So they based the seeding, of course, how they played against interleague competition. But does that tell me if you're all four teams in the playoff 5-5, is that a tough conference or a weak conference?
It's a tough conference, and what makes them tough is you know, when you get down to that Knoxville competition, a lot of them are playing 6A teams. You know, and even the 4A teams that they're playing, you know, that are in the Knoxville area, you know, it was kind of hard to find non-conference games this year. So a lot of them took some really, really tough matchups, which they don't look very pretty on the record. And it couldn't have been much fun this year to be losing some of the games they lost. But, you know, I think it's really sharpened those teams down there, and it'll be interesting. You can't look at the records, you know, with those teams playing in the Knoxville area. I think we're going to find out a lot tomorrow night about how good they actually are.
We're talking to Dave Onge. Of course, we're live. Coming up next, we check in with Kevin Harmon. He's got the Tennessee Southern Miss preview and also what's going on with this concussion protocol and what's going on with Butch Jones and contracts and buyouts. He's got the very latest. And, of course, the men's team playing an exhibition tonight down at Thompson Bowling Arena. Again, it is Blue Nanza tonight for East Tennessee State at Freedom Hall at 7 o'clock. Everybody gets in free. Girls and the guys. They got a slam dunk, an inter-squad workout, and guys versus guys, and, of course, ladies versus ladies. And we'll let you hear from Coach Ezell for the ladies and Coach Forbes for the guys. And so it's all giving away a bunch of stuff. So it's all at 7 o'clock tonight at Freedom Hall here in Johnson City. Pick and panel, here we go. Here's where you go. This is where Amy went. Again, let's see what we got here. 6, and 2 more winners were Amy and Joel Ragsdale. So what is that, 8 winners so far, and out of the 8 you've got 1, 2, 3. Well, I thought it was more than that. 3 out of the 8 are ladies, and that's great. TomTaylorSports.com/football is where you want to go, and so you have until midnight tonight to do that picking. And so here we go. Here's the picking panel. Let's run down through in no particular order. Let's jump out. Penn State, Michigan State. Again, we were 8 for 10 last week. We weren't 10 for 10, but this two-headed monster was pretty consistent. We've been in the 80 percentile all season long. So Penn State, Michigan State. Who are we taking this week?
We're going to take Penn State in this ball game. Just too much Barkley. They're going to. Michigan State's done a great job. I think they've really done a good job rebuilding, but they have nowhere near the defense they need to win that ball game.
All we're looking for is first name, last name, your email address, and, of course, the town you're from, and we'll take it from there. So Penn State, Michigan State, we're taking the Nittany Lions. This one's called Bedlam. Oklahoma to Oklahoma State, that's how they build this game every year. This one's in Stillwater, the home of the Cowboys. Again, you look at the rankings. I guess out of fairness, I ought to give you the rankings. So it will be 8th-ranked Oklahoma against 11th-ranked Oklahoma State. Sooners and Cowboys both 7-1. Who are we taking in that one?
I have a funny feeling about this one. And I think it all comes down to coaching in this game, and I'm taking Oklahoma State.
Yep.
It'll be a good ball game, but I think they're gonna find a way to win.
Taking the Cowboys. Other ball games on the picking panel: number 6 Clemson 7-1 at number 20 North Carolina State at 6-2. 3:30 kickoff on Saturday. We taking the Tigers. This is an animal pick. We taking the Tigers or the Wolfpack, the Wolves?
Man, you gotta be happy to be the Tigers right now because the Wolfpack they got eaten up pretty good last week, and it's going to be hard for them to bounce back. I like Clemson in this game. They're really playing sharp after last week.
So you take Penn State, Oklahoma State, Clemson if you're riding with us. Virginia Tech at Miami, the Hokies 13th in the country at 7-1. Miami 9th in the country at 7-0. 8 o'clock kickoff on Saturday evening, national televised on ABC. Hokie or the Hurricanes? Who do you like?
I'm with Chris on this one. I think Virginia Tech is the team that has really been kind of on the upswing. I think Miami last few weeks have been shaky, and I just don't think they have the players yet. They're not quite there. I think Virginia Tech is able to go sneak out a win.
Hokie High beats the U.
Boy,
right?
I'll tell you, that used to be in the Big East. That was quite a rivalry, and it's nice to see them, both teams really relevant and playing well right now.
The other picking panel pick that you can go to and try out: 14th ranked Iowa State, the Cyclones at 6-2 in Morgantown to battle the West Virginia Mountaineers at 5-3 at 3:30 kickoff on Saturday. We taking Iowa State, or we taking the Mountaineers of West Virginia?
There's a lot of belief right now in Iowa State, and they've done a tremendous job. Picked up some big wins. I've been impressed with what they've done. I think they're going to be able to go in and have enough offense against a really good West Virginia team offensively in order to get it done. So, yeah, going with Iowa State in this one, I feel pretty good about that.
West Virginia needs one more win to be bowl eligible. Got to have 6, and Dave and I were saying won't be this week. It's going to be the Iowa State Cyclones to win that thing. Other ball games: Arizona at Southern Cal. That's going to be a late night game on Saturday. Arizona with Rich Rodriguez, the head coach, 23rd ranked Arizona at 6-2. They'll be at number 17 Southern Cal, who's 7-2. Are we taking Arizona? Or are we taking Southern Cal in Los Angeles?
We're going to go with Southern Cal. This is a tough one, tough decision because the quarterback play for Arizona right now is so good, But I think the quarterback play on the other side with Southern Cal, a couple good quarterbacks. I think they might cancel each other out a little bit. I never trust Arizona's defense, so we'll have to say Trojans in this ball game.
Trojans we're taking. VMI at East Tennessee State. Joe Venta was along earlier in the show to give us a preview of that ball game. Cadets or the Bucks? We're going Bucks, right?
Yeah, revenge ball game here. I think ETSU is really, they have this one circled on the schedule this season. I don't think they did last year. I think they overlooked it last year and it cost them. VMI, like you mentioned earlier in the show, they had a great quarterback last year, set about every school record passing-wise. He's gone, so they don't have the firepower. I think ETSU gets the win.
All right, Auburn at Texas A&M, the math. So what's Carmichael calling the math professor? The math professor at Texas A&M against the guy. Both of these coaches in battle. They're in trouble. More so, Kevin Sumlin, I think, at Texas A&M. They're playing this one in College Station. You can disagree. I got Auburn to win this one on the road at Texas A&M. What do you think?
I like that pick. I just don't trust anything about Texas A&M at the moment. I think you can bank on Auburn's defense a little bit. It's kind of the disappointment bowl here because I think both of these teams expected to be a lot better than where they're at right now. But, by the slightest of margins, let's go with Auburn.
Stanford at Washington, another big one coming up. That'll be 18th ranked Stanford at, they will come in at 6-2. At Washington State at 7-2. The Cougars hosting a 25th ranked team in the country, hosting the 18th ranked Stanford Cardinal. I've got Washington. It's actually Washington State. 3:30 kickoff. We taking Stanford or we taking the Cougars?
I'm going to tell you, when you pass the ball, three things can happen, and two of them are bad, right? And I think Washington State relies a little more on the pass. I think Stanford's kind of putting it together a little bit, and that's going to give them enough, I think, to get over the hump and get a win there.
Last but not least, my alma mater again, 6-2, the Thundering Herd, taking on Florida Atlantic. That'll be coming up again later on this evening, as a matter of fact. Lane Kiffin's FAU against the Thundering Herd of Doc Holliday. So you like Marshall tonight or Florida Atlantic in Florida? You know where I'm headed.
Doc Holliday versus Lane Kiffin. This is you can't beat the coaching matchup in that one. So, yeah, I'm going to take Marshall in that ball game. The thing about it, I'm hesitant because Florida Atlantic has been scoring a lot of points, but I think Marshall will get the job done.
So out of all those games, what is the game of the week in your humble opinion? If you had to pick the game to sit down and watch, which one do you think is going to be the game of the week?
I think Penn State, Michigan State is really good, but I would give a little bit of an edge, I think, to Virginia Tech and Miami. You look back at historically as well, what that game has meant over the years, back to the days of Michael Vick and, Virginia Tech really getting over the hump and, having to play against Miami every year. That was just that's where they arrived as a program, is cutting their teeth against the Hurricanes, and I think there's a lot of history there. So let's go with that one.
TomTaylorSports.com/football, the pick and panel. You need to get on there and play. Why would you not? It'll take you 2 minutes or less. We need your first name, your last name, the town you're from, your email address. That's it. And beyond that, you pick, and you say, well, I'm out of town, and I'm not there in East Tennessee. That's okay. If you win, they've got postal service and you're in where you live, we'll mail you the checks. Not a problem. $25 is $25. And Amy McDuffie won it last week, and she was just elated. She's like, oh, I'm so excited to win. So she lives in Elizabethton. So see if you can dethrone Amy. She's the defending champ from a week ago. So basically, all things considered, pretty good football weekend in college football.
Yeah, definitely. We're starting to kind of get down to it. You have a lull earlier where people are eating their cupcakes, first 4 weeks or so. But this is the time of year when you really start seeing a lot of urgency, some elimination games in terms of teams that might make the playoffs and teams that might not. It really starts to ramp up this time of year, and it's going to be a fun Saturday.
Absolutely. Great options to talk about as far as college football and high school football. But again, get out and cheer on your favorite high school football team tomorrow night, 7 o'clock kickoff. And, of course, if you can't get to your favorite college team, wherever they are playing, be sure and support them. So a lot of options this weekend for a lot of great football tomorrow night and on Saturday. Quick break. We'll be right back. We'll go from our picking panel. Again, we're 80% consistent every week, so ride with us. Go with these teams. Again, and when you go to the picking panel, we just pick the same things you'll pick. We pick Southern Cal, East Tennessee State, Auburn, Stanford, Marshall. We are Marshall. Penn State, Oklahoma State, Clemson, Virginia Tech, and Iowa State are our picks here on the picking panel. Up next, what's going on in K-Town? An embattled, disconnected, I don't know what the adjective he'll use, but I call it a train wreck. Tennessee football. What's going on this week in K-Town? They get ready for Southern Miss. Kevin Harmon joins us next year on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show.
At American Import Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the 8 areas of your vehicle that takes constant continuing education is the air conditioner on your vehicle.
Well, you would think that AC would be a simple one, but it's getting to be a lot bigger than just AC. It's the management of the system, not just AC, but heat and everything. It's a lot more computer controlled than it used to be. It used to be just a little button on the dash that you pushed. Now there's all kinds of electronics involved in that. Braking systems used to be fairly simple. Now some of the newer vehicles, you have to have a computer to actually operate the braking system to make sure that it's okay after you've worked on it. Computer controlled of the engine is becoming very important. There's a lot to that. Each one of these areas, the technology is just tripled and quadrupled in the last few years. It's hard to keep up. You really need to stay in the books and know what's going on with them.
American Import Auto Repair, Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111. Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's Friday night at 7 o'clock. You've been involved in a car accident. You may be out of state on vacation or just a few miles from home. What do? Who do you call? At Farmers Insurance Group, one call is all you have to make. Hello, this is Jim Klein, an agent with Farmers Insurance. It's called One and Done. You don't have to wait till Monday morning to file a claim. You can make the initial call and we'll begin right away to help you. We assist you in moving the vehicle to a certified repair shop, getting you set up with rental car, and informing your agent. Then here are the staff at Jim Klein Farmers Insurance. We follow the claim through to the end. It's that easy. One and Done. We're your one and done location for all your insurance needs. Auto, home, life, commercial, workers' comp, and bonds. We can help you with all your insurance needs. Give me a call today, Jim Klein Farmers Insurance at 247-5400, your one and done location in Kingsport, 247-5400.
Now available Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City. The Hash Brown Scramble, the first breakfast bowl with Chick-fil-A. The Hash Brown Scramble, a hearty breakfast option made with Chick-fil-A's signature tot-style hash browns, scrambled eggs, a Monterey Jack and cheddar cheese blend, and a choice of sliced Chick-fil-A nuggets or sausage. Served with jalapeno salsa, the scramble can be enjoyed in a bowl or as a burrito. The Hash Brown Scramble Bowl, 30 grams of protein when made with nuggets. The bowl and burrito start at $3.49. Served until 10:30 every morning, Monday through Saturday. The Hash Brown Scramble or burrito, again at Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City.
Back on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show coming up. We got Andy Dietrich's going to bring home the bacon here in just a few minutes as he'll come by here and kind of wrap things up for us. We're live here inside the studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet. You see on the screen Kevin Harmon with the Tennessee Southern Miss preview. And goodness gracious, since last week we visited here and they went up to Kentucky and laid an egg. Credit Kentucky, pretty good football team, and Tennessee let one get away again. And so now we're getting ready for Southern Miss, and we've got some off-field or on-field controversy involving this concussion protocol. So I think, to use your terminology last week, we're in a mess, and it's not getting any better. So what is the latest down there in K-Town right now for Tennessee football?
Well, not a lot has changed. And the big story this week is Brent Kendrick playing concussed, and whether or not that in fact happened and who knew about it and when. I do not believe that Butch Jones would play a concussed player. I don't believe any coach. You're up in the air on what Walt Wells knew, and if he recognized it.
Walt Wells is
the line coach.
Okay.
And I've seen video and watched video of him on the field, and I remember the play where he lined up off the line of scrimmage, and I've never seen a play like that. And it didn't dawn on me that could be the symptom of a concussion, which now I know it is. He didn't know where he was, and after that play, he went on the sidelines and he threw up, and that's when they knew he was concussed. But there's things about he didn't want to come out of the game. He wouldn't tell his coaches, and he doesn't remember the second half. It's not a good look, but there's a lot of checks and balances in place to make sure that doesn't happen. But the head coach is removed from that decision-making process for obvious reasons. In the old days, the head coach put a guy back in because he wanted to win a football game. Now he can't make that call. That's up to the training staff. So Butch Jones, as embattled as he is, I do not believe he would threaten the safety of one of his players. I just don't believe that.
Jones spoke with the media yesterday saying he cared about players' safety while distancing himself from the decision to remove injured players in the field, though he didn't mention Kendrick by name, rather. He says we would never knowingly put a student athlete in harm's way. So, again, it's just another black eye on this program, and so you try and get things sorted out. Southern Miss comes to town. Is this a football team that can beat Tennessee, or
oh,
can
yeah.
Tennessee get them?
Yeah, they can definitely be. They're 30th in the country in rush defense. Tennessee has had their struggles on the offensive line. This week, they've only got six scholarship players, so you really don't know what's going to happen. But we still gained 235 yards last week with John Kelly out. We averaged 5.5 yards a carry with the two true freshmen basically running the football. So it's a quandary. I mean, what's going on? I mean, we're able to run the football, but the biggest problem we're going to have is protecting the quarterback. And then Jarrett, we've given up 18 sacks in the last 3 games. That's a lot. And Guarantano's got to get rid of the football.
He's getting sacked on average of 6 times a game.
Yeah, for the last 3 games, we've given up 18 sacks.
Wow.
It was 7 last week, and a lot of the times he just holds the football too long, or he doesn't recognize a blitz, and he turns the wrong way, and he's just not there.
All right, now stop right there. This guy, again, we're talking to Kevin, talking about Tennessee football. So he didn't pick up a blitz coming, didn't read a blitz coming. This guy's a 5-star quarterback. Now, Butch, earlier in the season against Florida, said he didn't put him under center in Florida because he hadn't taken the reps under center to run that kind of play. Now, you're telling me he didn't pick up the blitz. So how does this guy, a 5-star recruit, he can't do quarterbacking 101?
It's coaching. It's a little bit more complex at the collegiate level than it is the high school level, even though they play pretty good football in New Jersey. It's still coaching. I mean, he has to recognize that blitz, and these teams in the collegiate level disguise their blitzes. They line up in a certain defense, and then they rotate as the ball's being snapped, and they send a blitzing safety or a cornerback. And he's just not been coached yet to that point where he can recognize that when the bullets are flying on the field.
Yeah, but the guy who's watched film, I would assume he should be in the film room watching the film and see tendencies and here's what's coming. And we see this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, they do it on the high school level. So I can't blame Butch Jones on that one. This kid's supposed to be all world and a 5-star recruit, as he's covered for him because he couldn't take a snap over center against Florida. And now you're telling me he can't pick up the blitz packages.
He didn't pick up that one. No.
And we're in what is this?
So Kentucky, I forget what our record. We're 3-5, right?
This is week number 9, and this guy can't pick up blitzes, and he's supposed to be a 5-star quarterback.
Yeah, well.
I don't think that's Butch Jones. I think, anyway, keep trucking. I interrupted you. Go ahead. Keep rolling.
Well, Tennessee's going to have to run the football. They're going to, you got Josh Smith is out this week, so you're going to have to rely on Ethan Wolf, Callaway, and Josh Palmer had a pretty nice game last week, made some nice catches, and created 2 pass interference penalties, which were big plays for us. So, we got to protect our quarterback, and he's got to make smart decisions with the football when he's in the pocket, and we should be able to run the football, even though they're 30th in the league. They've done that against some smaller teams, like a Western Kentucky State or something like that. I've got them written down. UTEP and Southern University, they only gave up 60 yards to. Louisiana Tech got 218. UAB got 209. So Tennessee should be able to run the football, which would take some of the pressure off of having to throw the football. But they have one guy on their offense that you got to remember his name, and it is Ito Smith, I-T-O Smith, 5'9", 195 senior. He's their go-to guy, and he's a very, very good player. Tennessee's going to have to stop. He rushed for 1,100 yards his sophomore year and 1,500 yards last year. So you're going to see a lot of this kid Saturday.
5'9",
195 senior.
So he's a scat back.
He's their guy. He's their little bowling ball.
Ito Smith.
Yeah.
So, ITO, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's talking to Kevin Harmon talking Tennessee Southern Miss football. So.
And they like to run a lot of jet sweeps. I don't know if you remember the Appalachian State game where they didn't seem like we could stop them on the corners. This is what Southern Miss, that's their bread and butter play on offense.
That's not good.
So, we did okay containing Steven Johnson. I don't know if we can contain that. We have to. I think Sheep defense has done okay. They get gassed later in the game because the offense hasn't been able to do much. So, I do believe that. If we could stop this kid, that we should be able to take Southern Miss. But it's not going to be easy. This is not going to be an easy game. They took Kentucky to the wire the first game of the year and lost. But Southern Miss is a program, when you think about it, they play a lot of SEC schools for the paycheck. So they're not intimidated by coming into a place like Neyland Stadium because they played at the Alabamas, they played at the Ole Misses, Kentuckys, Georgias. They played these schools. So Southern Miss will not come in intimidated at all. I bet you, they're probably chomping at the bit because the time is right to upset Tennessee in Neyland Stadium if you're a Southern Miss player.
I think you're exactly right. In fact, I'm going to check them out right now. Page 298 here in the old book. We're here live again at Champion Chevrolet. Again, I don't have my glasses. We're down to 298, and let's see. I want to see what they've done here as far as their schedule this year. Southern Miss.
I know they opened with Kentucky. Yeah.
They played Southern. They played at Louisiana Monroe, North Texas, University of Texas San Antonio, University of Texas El Paso, at Louisiana Tech, University of Alabama Birmingham, at Tennessee. Then they'll go to Rice. They'll come back home to Charlotte, and they'll wrap things up. They're going to take a butt whooping. I'm just going to tell you right now, there's a butt whooping coming on November the 25th. They go into Huntington, West Virginia, to take on the Thundering Herd, and it ain't going to be pretty. We're going to put it all over and beat them like a junkyard dog. Feel better now. November the 25th. That's my alma mater. So.
Yeah, it's going to be a little cold up there for the Mississippi kids, that's for sure.
You got that right. So, anyway, Southern Miss comes into Knoxville on Saturday, and, of course, forget the talent versus talent. At this point, I think it's in their head. This is a psychological game for Tennessee. It's homecoming. Gosh, Kevin, they've got to win this ball game for.
Well, they do. They need to win the game. It'll help them. They need to. The number one, your players want to stop the 4-game losing streak.
Yeah.
You would like to be able to get bowl eligible if you can. At 6-6. I mean, that's as easy as it gets. If you lose this game, you still look at LSU, Missouri, and Vanderbilt. Missouri might be the easiest one, but Vanderbilt's not going to be a pushover for this team. It's tough sledding from here on out, but they got to get it done.
You got to win 6 to be bowl eligible. Right now, they've got 3 W's. They got the next 4 games, of course, Southern Miss on Saturday, then Missouri, then back home for LSU and Vanderbilt. So they got to win 3 out of the next 4 games. I personally don't see it happening. So I'm looking at not a bowl appearance this year for Tennessee. So a lot of folks will say, "Oh, we can get 3 out of the 4," but
it's going to be tough.
You better believe it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. LSU to me is not a very well coached football team. They've won some big games. It'll be interesting to see where they'll have been blasted by Alabama by the time they come to Knoxville. So we'll see how that game will turn out.
Let's run down again who's bowl eligible. Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Kentucky, LSU, and South Carolina all have at least 6 wins. On the cusp, you've got Florida with 4 wins. Let's see, Ole Miss with 3. Mississippi State with 5 wins. They got UMass this Saturday. You got to feel like they're going to get bowl eligible with 6. Missouri's got 3. Tennessee's got 3. Texas A&M's got 5. If they don't get it this week against Auburn, they should beat New Mexico to be bowl eligible for Kevin Sumlin. And then Vanderbilt's got 3. So you got 4 teams in the Southeastern Conference with only 3 wins. They got to have 6 to get in. Tennessee, as we said, Saturday Southern Miss, then go to Missouri, back home for LSU, and back home for Vanderbilt. So not an easy task to get through.
The SEC has become kind of top heavy. The lower teams are really not that good. I think the Big Ten as a whole is a better conference right now. I don't know who does Penn State play this week?
Michigan State.
That's going because the way they lost that football game was just awful.
At Ohio State, you're speaking of?
The one, the Ohio State game. I watched that game, and you could see Ohio State's defensive front start to take that football game back over. And they just didn't have an answer, and they really couldn't do anything. But you thought maybe Penn State could hold on and their defense could make it happen. But, J.T. Barrett stepped up when he had to, and it was a heck of a win. And then he took that opening kickoff back, and he was untouched. And then they scored again on the fumble, make it 14-0. I mean, the Big Ten is a very good league this year, and will be for years to come. They got good coaches there. So it's going to be interesting. It would have been interesting to see James Franklin would have come to Tennessee as much venom as he spit at UT when he was at Vanderbilt, but he's a Pennsylvania guy, so he'll never leave. But he's a good coach.
Yeah.
He's a good coach.
Kevin Harmon, again, real quick, men's basketball tonight, playing an exhibition.
I haven't been reading much up on that. I mean, Davis is playing in the game. So I've got high hopes for their basketball team. I mean, that's Barnes' 3rd year. Nobody's really picked him to do anything, but he's a good coach. He just hasn't recruited that player that UT wants, that top 100 player. He hasn't gotten in there yet, but he's getting a lot of looks now. And I believe if he does another year of where he coaches his players up and they play hard, and you got Grant Williams coming back, you got a lot of power coming back. You got the Fulkerson kid back. You got the 3 JUCO guys that are coming in, transfers. hopefully it's a very good year. I don't know what Kentucky has. I'm sure they got five stars. You know,
they're
top
loaded.
five players in the country. Yeah, them and Duke. And I wish they'd stop that rule. I wish they'd just let them go pro. It's ruining college basketball, in my opinion. But I hope the basketball team does well. I'll go down to see. I'm trying to make it for the Carolina game. That's when the students are gone. We play North Carolina. It's too bad. You would want that place to be rocking. I hope it does, because you got enough people in Knoxville to fill that place up. So
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Good report. Thank you, my friend. We'll take a quick break. Kevin Harmon, again, you see right there. He'll be with us next week to preview Missouri and Columbia, then LSU, then Vanderbilt. Got to win 3 out of 4 to be in the bowl. Again, Butch Jones in a world of hurt down in K-Town, understandably so. Quick break. We'll be right back. Andy Dietrich comes in. 10 for 10 man. Next year, the Tom Miller Sports Show and the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview.
At American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the 8 areas of your vehicle that takes constant continuing education is the air conditioner on your vehicle.
Well, you would think that AC would be a simple one, but it's getting to be a lot bigger than just AC. It's the management of the system, not just AC, but heat and everything. It's a lot more computer controlled than it used to be. It used to be just a little button on the dash that you pushed. Now there's all kinds of electronics involved in that. Braking systems used to be fairly simple. Now some of the newer vehicles, you have to have a computer to actually operate the braking system to make sure that it's okay after you've worked on it. Computer controlled of the engine is becoming very important. There's a lot to that. Each one of these areas, the technology is just tripled and quadrupled in the last few years. It's hard to keep up. You really need to stay in the books and know what's going on with them.
American Import and Auto Repair, Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111. Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's Friday night at 7 o'clock. You've been involved in a car accident. You may be out of state on vacation or just a few miles from home. What do? Who do you call? At Farmers Insurance Group, one call is all you have to make. Hello, this is Jim Klein, an agent with Farmers Insurance. It's called One and Done. You don't have to wait till Monday morning to file a claim. You can make the initial call and we'll begin right away to help you. We assist you in moving the vehicle to a certified repair shop, getting you set up with rental car, and informing your agent. Then here at the staff at Jim Klein Farmers Insurance, we follow the claim through to the end. It's that easy. One and Done. We're your one and done location for all your insurance needs. Auto, home, life, commercial, workers' comp, and bonds. We can help you with all your insurance needs. Give me a call today, Jim Klein Farmers Insurance at 247-5400, your one and done location in Kingsport, 247-5400.
Now available Chick-fil-A, the Crossings of North Johnson City. The Hash Brown Scramble, the first breakfast bowl with Chick-fil-A. The Hash Brown Scramble, a hearty breakfast option made with Chick-fil-A's signature tot-style hash browns. Scrambled eggs, a Monterey Jack and cheddar cheese blend, and a choice of sliced Chick-fil-A nuggets or sausage. Served with jalapeno salsa, the scramble can be enjoyed in a bowl or as a burrito. The Hash Brown Scramble Bowl, 30 grams of protein when made with nuggets. The bowl and burrito start at $3.49. Served until 10:30 every morning, Monday through Saturday. The Hash Brown Scramble or burrito, again at Chick-fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City.
Back with the championship 5-Star Football Preview Show. Mr. Copenaver says, we can't take it. We're going to the barn. 10 for 10. He's heard all the 10 for 10 he wants to. He did not get any pie.
I'll probably get the snot beat out of me next week.
He's going home and get rested up because tomorrow we'll come in tomorrow. And he's got Andy in a headlock. Saying now say 10 for 10. How'd he do that? So there you go.
I was extremely lucky.
Yes, I know that. But you won
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Best part I liked about it earlier today, he said, in the presence of Mr. Copenhagen, Tom, I'll come over and pick. It's kind of like taking candy from a baby. And it's like, ooh. I said, okay. That even bristled Mr. Copenhagen. Of course, it's all friendly competition, but I think GM employee pricing coming up this month, kick in a new month, November the 2nd. And what in the world's going on? What is GM employee pricing?
GM employee pricing is the pricing that if I wanted to buy a car, or if you work for General Motors, or if you're retired from General Motors, you get it. It's the least expensive. I guess the best way to put it, it's the lowest price you can buy a vehicle from General Motors. It's the best price there is. There's regular pricing for Joe Blow off the street. There's supplier pricing that's for people that work at companies that make parts for General Motors. And then there's General Motors pricing, which is also called GMS. And GMS is offered this month on 2017 Silverados, 2017 Traverses, 2017 Expresses, 2017 Tahoes, and Suburbans. So it's, if you thought, before, I'm going to hold out and wait, this is it right here. Employee pricing. It's like, if you work for General Motors for 35 years and retired, that's what you could come here and buy a car for. And GM employee pricing, that's what we're selling it to. Everyone qualifies on those vehicles I just mentioned. And on top of that, we still have 20% off select 2017 Cruises, Malibus, Sonics, Impalas, and 0% for 72 months in lieu of the 20% on most of these 17 cars. So it's winner, chicken dinner. It's like going dinner. 10 for 10 in the pick and panel. That's what kind of good deals these are.
He said, I'm done. I'm not going to say more about it. I knew he could.
And that was good pie.
It was a good pie. Food City pie.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I was going to tell everybody you made it, but you already spilled the beans. Said Food City.
No, Food City. And even a young lady named Tori. I said, Tori, can you put 10 for 10 on top of this pie? She said, I can't open that thing up. I said, open it up. I'll take full blame. She said, okay. What do you want? I said, 10 for 10. Almost. And I said, do you have room to squeeze, put Andy on the bottom? She said, no, probably just 10 for 10. I said, that'll work. And so you took a picture of it, didn't you?
I've got a great picture of it.
Yeah, I've got a great picture.
Got a great picture.
Perfection.
And then when Tim finally came back in here after the pie was here, I was minding my own business over there at my desk, and he ran over here from Tom and grabbed the pie.
Yeah, it was on the table.
And put it in my face.
Yes. He said, you got a camera? And I said, let me get my phone. I was fumbling before I could even get my phone out to get a picture. He came around with Andy, was on the phone, and put it right like this.
I had pumpkin pie up this nostril on this side right here, my left nostril. And I'm still smelling pumpkin pie out of that nostril. Not this one, this one.
What a trooper. What a trooper this Andy Dietrich guy.
And I got whipped cream in my eyebrow.
Yeah. So, and you just not.
He's a sore loser.
He is a sore loser, I guess.
I get beat up on if I lose. I get beat up on if I win here.
You can't win.
No.
You're just a punching bag all the way around. But again, for disclosure, he's looking sharp today. You went and emceed a banquet or a dinner.
I wasn't really. I just convened the meeting. I welcomed everybody there. It was the CenturyLink Faith in the Future event at the Millennium Center. It's where people can either be nominated or submit applications if you own a business or if you run a nonprofit organization, and you can submit. There's a whole list of questions that you have to fill out and send in what you do for this community and your employees, and it's just investing in the future of where we live. And they had over, I think, 22 applications, and I think it was either 6 or 7 winners from that. And they let a Chamber of Commerce pick it, I believe, in Fayetteville. So the people picking the winners had nothing to do with here. So it's a really neat thing, and if you're interested in doing it, they'll do it again next year. It's with partnership with CenturyLink, the call center here, and Johnson City Chamber of Commerce. It's also with Jonesboro and Washington County.
There you go. It's all going on again right here in Johnson City today. He did it along with
Josh Smith.
Josh Smith and WJHL TV was the MC, who's a great guy.
He was hilarious today.
He
got off track, and I thought people were going to cry in the room. And it was like, oh my goodness. I mean, he was just, he's his typical self. It was great.
Oh, he's a great guy. Great guy. Josh Smith, JHL TV. Buy a ticket and change a life. Tell me about that.
Up until January 27th, we'll be selling raffle tickets, or if we sell 4,000 of them, we won't have any more. There's 4,000 raffle tickets printed. They're $50 a piece. 100% of the proceeds of the $50 goes to Nice Swingers Children's Hospital. We will have a drawing on the 27th, and you have a chance to win a 2018 Chevrolet Traverse, 2017 Chevrolet Silverado, or a 2018 Cadillac ATS. If we draw your name out at the Mountain State Spirit Gala on January 27th, you can have your pick of one of those 3 cars, and then they'll have 3 more drawings after that. The second prize drawing will be for $2,500 in cash. The third prize drawing will be $1,500, and the fourth prize drawing is $1,000 cash. So you have there's 4 different prizes. There's only 4,000 tickets. To my knowledge, they've never sold out of the tickets, so your odds are even better.
Yeah.
We would like to sell out because 100% goes back, and all the money stays here.
And as you said, we've not sold out the tickets as of yet. They've got 3,000. They petitioned. The state's going to allow them to sell 4,000 this year. So,
we have them here for sale. You can walk right in the showroom. Got them right here at the sales desk in the showroom. You can go to mshafoundation.org. That's mshafoundation.org. You can buy them online. You can buy them at the gift shop in the Johnson City Med Center. And so it's easy. It's fun. It's 100%. It's money staying here, going to Nice Swingers Children's Hospital. We give away the car. It's 100% given away, so nothing comes back to us, which is great. I mean, I like to see this money go to such a great cause. My kids have been sick. They've been in this hospital. I see where the money goes. It's well worth the investment and a chance to win.
There you go. Can't top that. Champion Chevrolet, GM pricing, GM employee pricing. Now's the time to check it out. Just got started yesterday, runs through the month of November. On select 17 Silverados, Traverses, Expresses, Tahoes, and Suburbans, and then 20% off select 2017 Cruises and Malibus and Corvettes and Sonics and Impalas. Or tell me what the other option is.
If in lieu of rebates, this is the way it always works. In lieu of rebates, or the 20% off on most of the 17, it's mainly on 17 cars that are remaining. 0% for 72 months is available. So, it's great deal. And then, I do want to sell all the 17s to make room for the 18s. I have noticed when they came out with rebates yesterday, they do have what they call holiday bonus cash on a lot of the 18s now they didn't have last month. So for some reason you're dead set on getting an 18, I do have 18s in stock. There is rebates now available on them. Of course, the deals and rebates won't be as good as the 17 sitting right beside of it,
Sure.
But there is money now on most all the 18s out here.
Today, during my earlier show, the Tom Taylor Sports Show, saw 2 trucks coming up the hill full of brand new pick 'em up trucks and bringing them in.
Yep, bringing them
18s.
in. It's that time of year. Everything's 18 coming in now.
18s are coming in now, so there you go.
Yep.
How
Got to make room.
did they do that? It's awesome. Very good.
That pumpkin pie was good.
Pumpkin pie was good. Congratulations.
We even shared it. I think it's gone.
What are the odds?
Everybody wanted to eat a perfection champion pie.
Except one.
Yeah, except for one sore loser. But we won't name his name. He sits right beside of me, and he's on TV a lot. But won't name his name. I wouldn't dare do that.
No, I wouldn't want you to do that either. All right. You out? No, we do close early at 7 now, too. Want folks to know the showroom closes at 7 because of the winter months, daylight savings time on Saturday. Correct?
I'm out, yes.
All right. You heading home?
Yep.
There you go. So are we. We're about ready to get out of here. Dave, Angie, come in here and close this puppy out. Let's do this thing together. We got 2 minutes to go, and want to get him back in here one more time and kind of sign off here and get ready to roll again on this Thursday, November the 2nd, 2017. And what do you want to leave us with today, big guy?
2-minute warning here. 2-minute drill.
2 minutes. You can do it.
Absolutely. I want to tell everybody, there's a lot of folks out there. Their teams may have been eliminated, may not be in the playoffs, high school football-wise. Weather tomorrow looks really good. Warm, nice weather. If you have a team in the playoffs, they're playing here locally, go support them. If you're a football fan and, your team may have been eliminated, pick a game. We gave you a bunch of them tonight. Talked about them with Doug Fritz. A lot of great games going on out there. Go support these kids, and the money that you spend there at these high school football games, go to support the sports and the band and everything else throughout the year. So can't make any better use of the money. These kids are out here with the coaches learning life lessons you can't learn anywhere else, whether it be football or that money that's going to be used later on for the swim team, wrestling team, on into spring sports. You just you can't make a better investment than that. So get out and watch a football game tomorrow night. A lot of good ones going on.
You got it. And like and share this show, because you can watch this tomorrow evening, whenever you want to watch it. And, of course, all the other shows, if you want to go back, they're all archived for you to watch as well. Good job, my friend. See you next week.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Join us next week. Hey, we're out of time. We sincerely thank you for yours. Our guest tonight, Joe Vento, previewing East Tennessee State and VMI. Doug Fritz of the high school football picks. Dave talked to him. Chris McCall, Hokie High, predicting and previewing the Hokies and University of Miami. And also we had Kevin Harmon in just now talking about Tennessee and Southern Miss. And, of course, Andy Dietrich came by and gloated and went on about how he went 2 for 10, perfection of the picking panel. Again, one more time, go to TomTaylorSports.com. Let me show you that page one more time before we get out of here. There it is, TomTaylorSports.com/football. Again, 10 picks. All we need is who you think is going to win. First name, last name, town you're from, an address, email address. And so good luck. And we hope that you're a winner. We'll let you know if you are next week. So for Dave Angie, this is Tom Taylor again. We'll see you tomorrow. As always, we'll tell you on behalf of Dave and Andy and all the folks, win or lose, be a good sport. Thanks for watching the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. So long, everybody.